So he was looking for wood. I had this chunk of beautiful mahogany, 25 plus, 26-inch wide, more than 10 foot long, and we dragged it into my stroke sander. The roughest belt I had was 80 grit. I put it on and start sanding it and keep watching his face. I want to see when he going to start smiling. And he get grimmer and grimmer. I said, what's wrong? He didn't say nothing. Shook his head. You don't want it? I'll give it to you. I want a perfect. What's wrong with this? I want the grain. You see this? I want the grain smack center of it. I said, well, good luck, my friend. I was sort of a pissed. Jesus Christ, man. I'm going to give a beautiful, and he don't want it. This is how this thing started. 2 weeks later, I call him up. Did you find a piece of wood? He says, yeah. I said, where? Man and Parker. You don't like Man and Parker. Well, I like them now. They got me a piece of beautiful mahogany. When you going to start working on it? I'm working on it. I dropped off my apron, jumped in my van, and went to see him. He was shaping the sides. Looked at it. I said, I'm too early. I'll be back, Wally. He said, I know you will. I see this in progress a couple of times. When I come to him and I see this draw side curved, I said, man, you're nuts. You're never going to get paid for this. Frank, this has nothing to do with money. I'm putting my craftsmanship, my heart in it. I am never be happier than to say, I'm so happy he got his chest back. I told my wife this story. The numbers I told her, how much he made this, how much he get it back for, it's just a story unbelievable, unbelievable. And I'm very happy he owns it, and I'm very happy they have some beautiful work here. No matter how talented you are, if you don't find somebody who's willing to pay for your craft, you're not going to create. To create, you have to find that individual who's going to love you and has money, lots of money. Because to make something like that, it takes a lot of time, talent, and a lot more. A lot more. You have to put your heart in it. You make something like that, you have to be in love with the piece, with the wood, and it helps if you get well paid for it. Thank you. I'm very happy for you, Wally.
Thank you. This story starts way before I built the dresser. It starts with my life with my dad. You all know my dad was Mr. Sawdust. He was quite a character. He was a terrific guy. He was a perfectionist. And he beat perfectionism into all of us. And it's a blessing and a curse both. It's a blessing and a curse both to my son Leif, who has the same disease now. But it starts really early. At the beginning of this guild, when this guild began, I don't know if any of you know this, my father, it was his concept. He started the guild. My brother Mark and I were right behind him. What really happened was my dad was our salesman at this time. He sold us out of work. I mean, we had so much work we didn't know what to do with it. So he wanted to continue selling, but for everybody. He wanted to be everybody's salesman. So he said, let's start a guild. I thought, well, that sounds interesting. You know, we got tons of work. And so we started this guild. Well, meeting number one was at my shop in Flanders, New Jersey. And it was a good meeting. Had a good time. Everybody seemed receptive. And the next meeting was in Hackettstown at another shop. And I'm not going to name any names. There's nothing to gain from it. There were a couple characters there that, here on this guy, he likes to put his heart and soul and perfectionism into everything. And here's these two clowns flashing wads of cash in my face. I'm literally out of their pockets, wads of cash, flashing them in my face and saying, "This is what it's about, Wally. This is what it's about." Well, I was disgusted. This isn't what it was about for me. Maybe that was a mistake, but I don't think so. I shortly thereafter left the guild. I couldn't be around this. I mean, that's how much my heart was into, this is what I want to do. If I have to lose a little money here and there to pull something like this off, I'm just gonna do it. And I'm not a wealthy man today. I'm not even approaching it. But you know what? Those two clowns with the cash, one of them is dead. I saw him begging in a doctor's office for prescription money. He's looking for free samples in a doctor's office for his bad heart. And the second guy is out of business. I'm sure most of you know him. And he is the most disrespected man that I could think of in the woodworking industry. And here I am, okay, still not rich, but I have my integrity. I've got my pride. I had my dad, when he was very, very sick and I was building this piece, he was quite impressed. And in fact, he signed in his book to me that his hat was off to me. And, it was the best. So then this whole thing came along and I got this done and I knew I did something good. I mean, I knew it. American Woodworker comes up with this contest, and this was the first year that they had it, and I submitted this piece, and I submitted it with confidence. I said, "Here's your winner. This is your winner." I knew it. I knew that this was the first time I ever put something together where I didn't feel like I screwed something up. Everything was right. I felt it, and sure enough, it was the winner. And, I'm still proud of it to this day. It wasn't a huge, big deal, but some of the guys I beat in the contest were guys that were in my textbooks from Europe, guys that, they had entries in this contest. And because of the extra lengths I went to in this piece, curving the drawer size, doing compound dovetailing, which obviously there's not a router setup in the world that's going to do that, or a CNC machine or anything. That's got to be done by hand. Because I went to those extra lengths, that's why I knew it was a winner. Okay, enough of that. Years go by. I deliver this piece to this couple. They loved it. The guy used to come to my shop, and as I was building it, and he would rub its belly, and he thought it was just the greatest thing. He was a young guy, very wealthy, and I delivered the piece. A little piece of me went with it, I had a lot in it. Many years go by, okay, I did this 24 years ago. Many years go by, the couple gets into a horrible, horrible divorce. They threw everything to the wind, all their beautiful furniture, they didn't care about at this point. They threw it to an auctioneer. I didn't know anything about it. Kathy, this young lady here, worked for that couple at the time, raised their children, took care of their house. She knows the house inside out. So, Lit, where's Lit? Oh, did Lit? Oh, there's Lit. Lit calls me up. Lit's working on the project. They're redoing the house. And calls me up to come and look at some work there. I said, oh, I'd love to come. I haven't seen my library over there. I haven't seen all these things. And so I get there, and I asked Kathy, what happened in the Bombe dresser? And she said, oh, it's sold in the auction. I said, what auction? And I was crushed that I didn't get a chance at it. You know, probably I couldn't afford it. Okay, I knew what I sold it to the first guy for. So she gives me the name of the auctioneer. I call the auctioneer. The guy says, I am sure that's probably out of the country. I sold it to a dealer who does a lot of European stuff. It's probably out of the country. And I said, well, could you give me an idea what it sold for? I just want to know, could I have afforded it? And the guy says, yeah, it was one of those things that went real fast, and some guy bought it for $1,300.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I said, you just got to be kidding. I said, I could have done that, you know? And he said, but it's gone. And I said, well, could I contact him? And of course, that's an unethical thing for an auctioneer to give me his address or whatever. He said, I'll tell you what I'll do. And I'll say the guy's name. It's John Nye Auctioneers. God bless him. He says, I will forward an email for you to him. I can't give you his email address, but I will forward anything you say to him. Well, I forwarded it to him, or I sent it to him. He forwarded it to the buyer, who forwarded it to a second buyer. And the second buyer said, I'll take $2,000 for it.
Oh my.
Okay. So he felt like he made a profit.
Oh
I'm
my.
not making a big fluffy deal about this because I don't think they researched it. If you go on the internet and you just put my name in, which is carved very deeply in the bottom drawer, it comes up that it won this competition. And maybe that doesn't mean anything to anybody, but it sure meant something to me. So I was happy to pay the $2,000. I said it immediately. And Merle, who, by the way, is my new fiance. That's my big news tonight. I'm engaged to be married.
Congratulations, Wally.
She said, well, Wally, this is a no-brainer. It's almost Christmas time. Let's buy it for each other for Christmas. And
That's awesome.
almost a month goes by, and still no dresser coming back this way. And I lost faith a few times. Kathy kept saying, no, it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And sure enough, I get a call one day, come to Bloomfield to pick it up. And here she is. And it just couldn't be a happier thing for me to have it back in the family. The bottom drawer is carved Wallace Leif Kunkel, 1991. Leif is my middle name. Leif is my son's first name. This will become my son's dresser when I'm done with it. And that's where it should be. It should be a family heirloom. And this is the beginning of it.
Where did it end up?
I never knew.
You don't know
I
where
never
it
knew.
came
No.
I don't know if it went overseas or not, but it took a month to get it back.
And you've only had it now, what, a month or two?
I don't know how long, a month, Dave?
Say about a month.
Yeah.
So Wally, how much would it cost for you to sell a new one to somebody? What would you get for it today?
When I built this, I charged the customer $18,500.
Yeah. That was a bargain even then.
I couldn't build this for twice that. I
Yeah.
couldn't.
The amount of time,
It
right?
made a lot more difficult for me. I had really good vision then. I could really see up. I would have to do a lot of the things with an optivisor now, which I think would
Yes.
slow me down.
I have one of those. They're wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, anyway, I just want to talk about a couple of other construction details while I've got your ear, things that were fun to do. and also the other accolades that I got from this. I met a really great guy, Albert Sack. Israel Sack and Albert Sack and Isaac Sack, these guys were the premier colonial furniture experts. They were it, and they're all passed away now. But Albert Sack wrote this book, and this was my dad's book, and one of my Bibles. Dad had certain books that he drove into us, and this was one of them. And one day, my dad signed this book, and one day I got the opportunity, a really rare opportunity, to go to his showroom in Manhattan, where he had the premier Goddard secretary. It sold for a record sale. It was $1.2 million or something like this for this secretary. And this was a piece of furniture that my dad used to have me sneak under the ropes at the Metropolitan Museum and quick get a couple measurements. I got kicked out of the Met so many times.
Oh, that's so funny.
I know a couple curators there now. I wouldn't have to do that again. But I got kicked out of there more times than I can tell you. So anyway, Albert Sack gave me, now my dad was pretty sick at the time, but he always wanted to build this secretary. I've still got all the hardware that Dad purchased for the secretary, made by the same company, Ball and Ball Brass from Exton, Pennsylvania. So he gave me full reign to measure anything I wanted on the Goddard secretary. I brought it to my dad in a booklet. I mean, I spent hours after. I was there to build a barricade around it. It was there to be shown. They brought it back for an anniversary of the premier furniture sale. So I got to do all this measuring and brought the stuff back to Dad. But while I was there, I had already won this contest, and Albert Sack wrote this in my book. He said, "To a creator of future masterpieces." And that was amazing. I mean, that was just amazing. I was in heaven. And I got to bring this back to my dad and show him that. And he started to cry. He thought that was just amazing. So Albert Sack is gone now. And one other person I want to give a lot of credit to for this piece. Lance Patterson. Called him up. "Lance, could you sell me the patterns? Mr. Kunkel, if you can't draw it, you can't build it." And I was a little offended, you know, but he was right. He was right. Every line you lay down, you know, you're building this in your brain, you know, in your head, and he was absolutely right. He did me a service by not selling me those patterns, so I had to do it myself. So that's pretty much the story about my dresser. It's back where it belongs. I'm honored that Frank took the time just now to, I had some streaks in the wax and he helped me fix that. But more importantly, with Frank, he was looking over my shoulder. I had some tough guys looking over my shoulder to make sure I was doing everything right. And he was certainly one of them, and I appreciated that. He also was the guy that helped me decide what was the right finish for this, and he was exactly right. He nailed it. And so there she be. It's got some incredible challenges in it. If you ever want to attempt one of these, it was something I always wanted to try as a young man. It was something I was amazed at, and I would look at the drawings, and there were certain things about it that I didn't understand why they turned a beautiful drawer front like this into a straight side that had a big gap here and a runner, and that's how the original ones were. But mine is all wood on wood, everywhere. Curved to the curve, everything is wood on wood. And another beautiful thing that these people did for me was they didn't throw anything away that I gave them. and it was still in the drawer. And I got it back, including
All the original
the key.
stuff, yeah.
I even got the key.
Oh my God. And the key. He had the key.
He had the key. And
Unbelievable.
I gave them the various articles that the thing was in from American Woodworker and
Oh, you've got that. Nice.
Woodshop News. And I wish I could find that other magazine, but
That's
anyway,
not the
they
longest
saved
one.
everything. And to this day, and this is a nice thing to do, I gave them this little photo album, which I'm happy to pass around and show you guys. I gave them this so that they would have, some kind of idea what went into this. It's pretty now, but along the way, there were a lot of other pretty things happening that you don't see until you have some pictures to look at. And to this day, Dave and I are doing this. We're sending along with a project like one of these, a beautiful album of pictures, and it's not expensive anymore. This was a big deal. You got to go get a roll of film to the guy. This is a long time ago. Now you can do it all from your computer and come back with a really nice little book and give it, and the customer loves it. Loves it. Anyway, do with that what you will, but it's been a nice thing that Dave and I have been doing, and the customers do appreciate it. So I had a slideshow for you, but it's all pretty much what these photographs are. Feel free to look through these photographs and see what was involved in building this. It's again, it was a labor of love, and it's back where it belongs.
Not for sale anymore.
Not for sale. Not at any price.
So, Wally, how long did it actually take for you to make it?
It's questionable. I'm going to say 4 months, but it was 4 months of 10 and 12-hour days. You couldn't go home. You get involved in an operation and you see it through until you can't stand up anymore. and that's a pleasure.
Right.
It's actually a pleasure. But back to the flashing of the cash. Here I am. I'm a happy guy. My life is good. I'm not rich, but I sleep really well at night, knowing that my customers are getting the best they can possibly get. And I'm happy about that. That's it. That's it.
Fantastic, Wally.